Right now, I'm sat in the middle of what I've recently been seeing called one of the, if not the most dangerous college campus here in the US, at least at the gravity of having about 40,000 students. You might not be able to tell from where I am right now, but I am very close to the heart of Philadelphia over here on the north side, and we are here at Temple University. I've heard this campus has very different vibes during the day and the night, so we're gonna check it out during both, see other campuses, talk to a few students, and see if I truly feel in danger at any point. So let's go check it out. Before we start walking around, I want to talk a little bit more about where exactly Temple is, because I think it's really important in understanding why it has that reputation compared to a lot of the other big city schools and all of the other Philadelphia schools. So if we zoom into Philly here, this is the main part of downtown where you have the City Hall, Terminal Market, and it's kind of located in the middle of all of Philadelphia, as you may expect. But Penn and Drexel are located over to the west of Philly here in what's called University City, which is kind of its like own little separate area that's kind of connected to Philly. And Penn's campus is also pretty huge, as you can see there. But then we move over and go to a few blocks above the main part of Philly, and you start to hit Temple's campus right around Cecil B. Moore Avenue. And this is the campus right here. It's about like roughly 4 by 5 blocks maybe. But the thing with North Philly is this whole area is not a great area. I've been there before, I've had an Airbnb there before, and obviously I walk around it in this video. It's notorious for having some of the most crime in Philly itself, and once you're out of that campus bubble, you're kind of just exposed to it all on all these side streets, and that's where a lot of students do live as upperclassmen. And you can kind of see this by going over to their Temple Alert account on Twitter, where it seems like a few times every week there's reports of like a stabbing or a shooting or some kind of assault happening in the streets surrounding Temple. And even my friend that's from Philadelphia said that their friend got mugged one morning and woke up unconscious the next. So yeah, all of this has honestly made me even more interested to go check it out and see if it's really that bad. So let's find out. Just like that, I'm technically off campus. This here is Broad Street, which if you don't know is Philadelphia's kind of like main street throughout the entire city. But you still see a ton of students walking around here. There's again a bunch of little restaurants. You got a Foot Locker right here. You got your typical city stuff. And as I was saying, I've always been kind of anti-college in a city because of the lack of a campus, and it feels a little more spread out and like, you know, too connected with the actual city. And it's not just your student population that you're around, but I'd be lying if I said it's not nice to have a street like that in the main downtown of Philadelphia being super accessible for you or you and your friends to do whatever during college. Although I will say, Philadelphia as a city, I think it's slightly overhated actually. Yes sir, you want to say hi?
Yo!
What's up?
What's going on? What are you vlogging?
Let's go. I just visited a bunch of schools across the U.S.
Oh, word?
And
Say what up to Lenny.
what up? That's hilarious. So far, what's your like highlight and your not so favorite part of Temple so far?
I would say the highlight is definitely partying, going out, and being away from home. And I would say the downfall is definitely school. I'm retarded and I can't really do all that shit, so.
Honestly, highlight, everyone here is so welcoming and warming, you know, so walking around like at any time, it could be like, what, 1 a.m., it could be 9 a.m. when I'm going to a class, like everyone's just like willing to talk to you or like anything. Low light, honestly, just school. No one likes going to school, bro. Like kind of party.
Damn, I wish I would stay the night here now. I gotta hit up a Temple party at some point. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Well, funny enough, right after that interaction, they pointed out that my backpack was open, which is incredibly stupid of me. I don't know why I did that. But then they said you might have been robbed. So yeah, I guess that's just kind of a thing that happens here that people assume. At UNC, I would leave my backpack like in the library while I went to go get food for 30 minutes and nothing would happen. I would leave my wallet on the library desk and nothing would happen. So that just wasn't like a concern. But with any city college, that's just not the case, and I don't know how I was dumb enough to leave my backpack open and walk around. What I will give Temple is it does a great job of blending a totally urban campus with a somewhat of an actual campus. It's a small semblance of one, but compared to schools like GW and NYU, when there's truly no campus, having at least a bit of an area like this in the middle goes a long way, in my opinion. Yeah, and I was just walking around, ran into Pluto the DJ over here. Showed me some of his music, said he's trying to get into YouTube a little bit. What's your channel?
Pluto the DJ. I appreciate you guys follow. Give me a follow and listen to. I got a lot of great music out there. Check me out, guys.
Yeah, he's literally grinding on the Temple campus just making music. And back on Broad, and right here you got Temple's main like pavilion, basketball arena, whatever else they host in there. It's pretty sizable. They play football actually at Lincoln Financial Field, which is the Eagles Stadium. So that is all the way down at the south of downtown. But that's right there, and then right next to it you can see what I presume is their main gym, because that whole glass area at the top, you can't really see it too well right now, but I think it's a basketball court, and I see people hooping up there, and that's fire. That is so cool. Fully glass, just at the top. I'm sure it has a pretty cool view of the city. And yeah, the gym itself looks really nice as well. Fox School of Business from the 2 seconds I saw of it before I got asked for my Temple ID. Looked pretty good, and I think Temple has a decent business program. Their student center actually didn't require anything to get into. There was a security guard, but honestly, this is a dope student union. It's pretty massive. There's a ton of different food options, some of which actually look really good. And yeah, very solid, definitely better than ours at UNC. You know, I had to say it. I'm so jealous that they have a honey grow on campus. I tried it for the first time when I moved to DC last year, and it's become one of my favorites, and having that in college would not have been good for the wallet, but it would have been awesome. Then again, you are in freaking Philadelphia, so food options are kind of endless. And when I say endless, I really mean that, because I walked into another building just because I thought it looked cool, and there were a lot of people walking inside, and then straight up on the first floor, like 5 more fast casual restaurants. And so I expected this to be like another student union-esque building, but no, this is a residence hall. And they also have like another whole like proper dining hall that is closed right now, but that's in here as well. This is Morgan Hall, and yeah, it's a residence hall with all that at the bottom. You don't see that very much in other schools, but it does make sense for more of a city school, I guess. The entire architecture / aesthetic of this campus has been really interesting, and I think this one frame kind of describes it all. You have some buildings that are really old and have probably been there since before Temple was even founded. You have your standard residence halls or academic buildings that, that are somewhat old, but not really. And then you have quite a few of these modern buildings that were definitely built in the last like 10 to 15 years. I obviously can't get in without an ID, but Charles Library, Temple's main library, seems like it goes incredibly hard. I can't believe I just said goes incredibly hard in the context of a college library, but it does. Look at that. It's not Zaxby's, it's Saxby's. Ha 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 ha. Sorry, I had to. Those say student apartments on it, and I can't say they look the most appealing to stay in. Honestly, I don't know if anyone's even, it looks very much abandoned right now. I drove by these like rec fields, and there's tennis courts back there. When I was getting here at about 5, and they were packed. And now it just got dark and there's very few people left. I will say vibes wise, just having walked around most of campus and inside the student center and all that, you get a lot of people from everywhere in this school. And that makes sense being in the middle of one of the biggest cities in the US and for it being a public school. But yeah, it was cool to see a bunch of different people from like every walk of life. Yes, sir. Say what's up to the vlog.
Yo,
what's up?
Shout out Temple University. Shout out
Temple.
215. You know what we do in Philly.
Yes, sir.
Best Philly school around. Pop out Friday on Diamond Street. You know where to find us.
Bro, people love this school here. Yeah. All right. Nice to meet you. No, I don't. I'm just visiting a bunch.
What's your Instagram? I want to get the channel.
Again, as I was saying, nice to meet people that are coming from all over the US, that are doing different stuff. Diverse. And the majority of people I've interacted with, like that dude, shout out Adrian, one of them. Very nice, very welcoming. He invited me to a party, which again, unfortunately, I could not go to. If you ever go to Temple, pull up. All right, as I'm walking back to my car, I parked like 3 blocks above campus. It has gotten significantly, if not eerily quieter than the middle of campus that I was on just a couple of minutes ago. And I think that speaks to kind of the overall sentiment I'm getting here, which is on campus or like right around campus. And most students do stay right around campus with all of the massive residence halls and apartments that I've seen right next to campus. You're okay. And I do find myself right now like kind of just checking over my shoulders every few minutes, especially holding this camera and microphone. But again, that's just kind of a part of regular city life. I do that near my apartment in DC sometimes if it's super late. Maybe not like 9:45 as it is right now, because there'll still be a lot more people walking around. But if you live in any big city, it's not all too different from figuring out how to handle that. It's just a little earlier here because you got 17, 18-year-olds figuring it out right here. And so I think when you hear about the incidents of people leaving Temple because of crime, and I remember there was an awful incident last year where a student was robbed or shot and killed just off campus, it's horrible. And don't get me wrong, students who leave, I'm not saying they're invalid for doing so, but I will say I'm pretty sure that's very much a minority, and most people that go here seem to really love it And you know, even though a couple of them even mentioned a couple things of just like watching my backpack or not going too far off, like once you just use that common sense and figure that out, it seems like a pretty cool place to be for 4 years. And I can see why people love it and call it the best school in Philly or even Pennsylvania. Now, me personally, having gone to I think 4 or 5 schools in Pennsylvania, I think I would personally vibe more at Villanova or Penn, even though there's no chance I was getting into Penn. Temple is definitely right for a certain person. And again, the crime is just kind of one of the things you're gonna have to kind of deal with. Now, in terms of the administration taking steps to combat it and stuff like that, I'm not too sure what's been done, and honestly, I'm not too sure what can be done when you're dealing with external elements from a city that are just outside your university. But again, I do get the sentiment that there is more that could be done, and I hope that is done because they've done a really good job with this campus otherwise, in my opinion. And so overall thoughts on Temple, it definitely has a very unique culture that comes with it, one that kind of just resembles a big city's culture, which, you know, makes sense being in a big city. You have a bunch of different kinds of people there. I think the out-of-state enrollment is 40%, which is pretty high for a public university of that size, which I find pretty interesting. And yeah, the campus itself is physically definitely a little bit of a bubble compared to some of the areas around it, but that doesn't mean you're not susceptible to what's happening around there. Although again, like if you've been in a big city at night before and you use common sense, you should be okay. And you know, just don't walk back from a party at 1 a.m. by yourself. Like as long as you know you don't have the freedom that you would have at a regular campus school that's in the middle of a suburban area or whatever, and you accept that, and there's a lot of other stuff about Temple that you like, then I don't think the location should necessarily be a deal breaker for you. I think Temple is cooler than like NYU because it does have that little subsect of an actual campus versus being just completely in buildings. So yeah, I really enjoyed my few hours at Temple. It was really cool to talk to a few students too and see how much like pride they almost had for the university. I'm definitely looking to go back. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Let me know what y'all think of Temple. Would you consider going here or not? And I will see y'all later. Peace out.